Two 25-year Islay single malts, two big names in the Scotch whiskey scene, but which one's better? That's a bit subjective. But today, I'm going to put these through 4 categories: presentation, nosing, palate, and finish. And we're going to see which ones that I think is better of the two per those categories. We're going to keep price out of the equation for now. I will talk about them, but it's not going to be what I say is better or worse, because we're just going to do the bottles and what's inside the bottles themselves and not how much they cost, because I don't think that's really fair. So I'm going to let future me give you some facts about each bottle, and then this me is going to put these guys head to head, see which one comes out on top. Our first contender is Ardbeg 25, coming in at 46% alcohol. Spending 25 years in ex-bourbon barrels and bringing some bite to this fight with its 55 ppm malt. This bottle packaging is superb, and we'll see how this whiskey stacks up against the competition. And the second competitor is Laphroaig 25, cask strength, 51% alcohol, also 25 years in ex-bourbon barrels. This whiskey is bringing some sweetness to this fight, going to try and cut through that smoke with some vanilla creaminess. And we'll see how this rustic packaged whiskey handles the Ardbeg 25. Alright, Ardbeg and Laphroaig 25. I've already reviewed these two, you can see them up there. But let's see how they match up head to head, shall we? First category, presentation. Doesn't matter a whole lot, but I want to talk about them because I had 2 different experiences with these boxes and how they came to me. So, with Ardbeg 25, it looks like a much more modern, like high-scale box. We've got this awesome push top here. It's really nice velveted line. It really makes you think you're buying something very, very expensive and nice. Doesn't really matter a whole lot to me, but I do think that this is appreciated from some people. The bottle looks very nice. I don't like that I can't see how much is left, because that means I might pour a bit more. But regardless, this box was so much easier to get into, which brings me to the Laphroaig 25 box. I have some footage I'm going to put on the screen now of me trying to get the bottle out of this box. Now, with this, I like the old rustic feel of the wooden box. It's awesome. However, it was so wedged in from the top, I could not get it out for the life of me. It took a screwdriver to pry out the bottom enough to get the top to come out from the top. It was bad. I was sweating by the end of it. It was awful. But that ignored, I think the rustic box here is really nice. The hinges, kind of the little pins coming out of the hinges here and there. The screws coming out. It's not like the best, like build quality, but I like this presentation a lot. If I'm going to give one an edge, I think I'm going to give the edge of the Ardbeg here, just because it looks high-end, but it was very easy for me to get to the bottle. I didn't have to sweat to get into it. This is a really cool little design idea. But again, this isn't bad. It was just, I've never had a bottle be so wedged in here, but I'm just going to give the presentation score to go to the Ardbeg. Even though I think the really old school, this green bottle is awesome, the box is what did it for me. But there we go on that. Ardbeg wins presentation, but doesn't mean a whole lot. It's just what I want to talk about. Okay, time to get to the actual whiskey portion of this, the nose. If you've seen my review, I could not stop raving about this nose of the Laphroaig 25. It is just, like I said, a cream fest. It is so vanilla-y, creamy, very, very fruit spicy. Definitely a much different presentation in the nose when I'm used to getting from a Laphroaig. The 25 years in ex-bourbon barrels just really brings that nice vanilla-ness to it, and I loved every sniff of this whiskey. It was pretty much flawless because I gave it a 5. Now, on the other side of things, we get to the Ardbeg. Again, 25 years in ex-bourbon barrels. However, I still got a bit more peat than what I got on the Laphroaig, but not a whole lot of extra sweet characters that I was expecting based on this is also ex-bourbon. So it's not a bad nose, it's just not as good as the Laphroaig 25 nose. So the actual first part of the whiskey category, the nose, I'm going to give the edge of the Laphroaig 25. Ardbeg 25 was still pretty good. It just, what I said in the review, a bit muddled. A lot of things kind of like were almost similar notes. They combined into just like one thing, and this was a bit more poppy here. I got a bunch more good flavor notes to pick out immediately with this one, and it had so much nicer of a character to me, again, my opinion. Not a bad nose, just not as good as the Laphroaig 25. Alright, now for the palates. If you've seen both reviews, they both got a 5. So, this might be a little hard. On the one hand, we got this really awesome, sweet, creamy, complex character of the Laphroaig 25 with a lot of subdued smoke notes. Not a lot of smoke on this palate. A lot more smoke on the Ardbeg 25 palate. However, which is not a bad thing. I love both, which is why I gave both a 5. But at this point, I gotta talk about what I would probably prefer. And I think an all-around whiskey, I think it might go towards a Laphroaig, because the way that I drink my Peaty Islas, it's usually like special occasions where I want to finish a meal, or it's cold outside or whatever, but you can drink this all the time, the Laphroaig 25. You can drink this all the time as well, just the way that I drink my whiskeys, and I don't really go for Peaty Islas all of the time, and this is just like every special occasion, you know, you can do with this one, and every nice meal. This palate was good. Bit more smoke, definitely some like piney cereal candle waxy kind of things here, and this was just amazing. Subdued smoke, fruits, cream, spices, just the same way you got with the nose. So I think the edge goes to Laphroaig here because it's a better, in my opinion, a more all-around higher end Islay single malt, and not really this one, even though this one costs more, we'll get to that later, than this one, but I think I'm going to go with the Laphroaig for the palate as well. Alright, so who wins the finish competition? Well, I just talked about the palate going to the Laphroaig 25, so this might surprise you. I'm going to give the edge to the Ardbeg 25, and here's exactly why. Because this one has a lot more smoke aspects to it, even though it was in the same barrel, not the same barrel, but the same type of barrel for the same amount of time as this one, because these are peated much more than Laphroaig are normally, that stuck around. And because of that, I get a much longer, not harsh, but a much longer, a more robust finish. And you don't feel like you need to drink it, or sip it rather, as often. Whereas this one, even though, again, this one is 46% alcohol, this is 51. I feel like I'm getting more of a heavy hitter out of the Ardbeg, even though it's 5% less. I'm going to give the finish to the Ardbeg here. It's just, it's a longer one, and it does have a little more sweeter aspects to it than the palate did, and I like that a lot as well. So, Ardbeg 25 gets to finish there. Alright, so it looks like they both tied. We got 2 and 2. We got nose, palate, and we got presentation, finish. Now, presentation doesn't really matter. I wanted to just talk about it, add something else to it, because the boxes are so different. Now, let's just talk about price. It's not gonna like inform my decision of which one I would rather drink more often, but this one's $900 and this one is $650. I didn't want to put that in because what's in the bottles is what really matters, and not necessarily what the market says it should cost. But that is what they cost, and that's what I ended up paying for them at my store. That being said, however, if I had to buy another bottle, it would just be Laphroaig 25, and not because it's less, but because I think I really, really love that creamy, awesome, great nose and palate, and I think if I share this bottle with close family members and friends, they would also be able to enjoy it as much. Whereas the Ardbeg 25 really kind of takes a special audience where you have to have them like some smokier, peatier experiences for them to actually appreciate what's in this bottle. And because of that, it's much harder, at least in my circles, to share, whereas this one I feel like is not going to be that hard to share. So that's the reason why I think Laphroaig 25, for me, again, all these are my opinions, these are not facts, why I think that I would just rather have this one on my shelf. I have them both, but after they're both gone, if I have to get another release, I'm going to get Laphroaig 25. So there you go. That's Laphroaig 25, I think, is better than Ardbeg 25. They're both great whiskeys. If you can have a chance to try either one of them, I would just highly recommend doing that because they are good and you should experience both if you can in your life. So, if you like these type of videos, leave it a like, leave a comment if you want. If you've had either one of these, let me know which one you think was better, because again, I am not the whiskey god. I can't say if anything's good or not. It doesn't matter. Want to subscribe? Please do so. I love you all. You guys are great, and I'll see you guys next time.